Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No,
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Not in
Okay.
this context.
So you
I'm not a
believe the meaning
biologist.
of
Welcome to my channel. This is Divested Diamonds. You have arrived. Hello, ladies. Please do me a favor and click the like button as you watch this video. Thank you. Thank you kindly. So in this video, we're going to discuss the transgender inmate who was transferred to an all-women's correctional facility in New Jersey. Remember him? Demetrius Minor, aka Demi Minor, who impregnated not one, but two women at that facility, seems to have a lot to say. Well, he's been moved to a men's prison, as he should, okay? That's where he belongs. So he's been moved to a men's prison where he's being held in a quote-unquote vulnerable unit. So this is what we're doing now, huh? Housing hardened criminals, killers, males with females, and when they break the rules in those facilities, we're moving them to quote-unquote vulnerable units. This is what we've come to, ladies. Men, biological males with XY chromosomes who self-identify as women are now being given the soft treatment. And what? The rest of the world is supposed to bow down to these males in an effort to make them as comfortable as possible? Are you kidding me? Shall we throw them some nice soft pillows? A comfortable bed, perhaps? A mani and pedi every week and a half maybe? Shall we provide a masseuse every week? Shall we throw in a glass of champagne, a nice meal, and perhaps a foot rub right before bed? What the fuck is going on here? So Demi Minor, who is serving a 30-year sentence for stabbing his former foster father to death, was moved from the Edna Mahan Correctional Facility to the Garden State Youth Correctional Facility in June. Minor, who's allegedly 27, complains that he was misgendered and abused by guards during the transfer and was even placed on suicide watch after he tried to himself while he was being transferred to GSCF. In a post on his Justice for Demi blog, Minor claimed that he was being targeted by correctional officers, with one of them mocking him when he asked to be stripped and searched by a woman. Well, that's probably because they recognized how much of a perv he was. And we're trying to save that woman the trauma of doing such a task on a cold-blooded, cross-dressing, woman wannabe killer. In my opinion, women should search women, and men should search men. End of story. It's not that complicated. These weirdos should never be given the option to be touched in any way, shape, or form by a woman just because they feel like one. But let's continue. He said that he was briefly held at New Jersey State Prison, where guards allegedly called him a he over 30 times. I don't see the issue here. I mean, anyone looking at this male would not confuse him for a female. Male, female. Two things that are not interchangeable, right? He looks like a man, sounds like a man, built like a man, and he has shown his manhood by impregnating 2 women at the previous facility, further proving everyone else's point, which was men do not belong in women's prisons. We've been talking about this. Women voiced their opinions about this. But no, the Skittles community is not prepared to listen. The Skittles community is not prepared to listen to facts. I don't see the issue here. He looks nothing like a woman. But you know how these TRAs behave. It's the entitlement for me. But let's continue. Minor's case gained notoriety in April when New Jersey Department of Corrections revealed that he had impregnated 2 fellow inmates at the Edna Mahan Correctional Facility. The inmate also said that while he was allowed to keep his makeup, he knows that wearing makeup would be a death wish. I have accepted that I'm in a male facility, but I have not accepted that I'm anything other than a woman who happens to be transgender, Minor wrote. In a scathing blog post, Minor accused guards of mistreating him and threatening him. On one occasion, one guard told him, "I don't give a fuck what you do. There is no camera here. Everyone here is a man, including you," Minor alleged. Minor was briefly in the custody of the New Jersey State Prison, where he said other concerning incidents took place. The Department of Corrections has violated my right to be safe and free from sexual harassment by putting me in one of the most violent youth correctional facilities, Minor wrote. You know, this is very ironic, coming from someone who butchered his former foster father to death. And I have to ask, was that not an extreme act of violence, sir? But then again, when it comes to these trans people, most of them at least, they are allowed to behave in any kind of way. And the rest of us are just supposed to suck it up and offer our empathy. It seems very narcissistic, self-centered, and extremely one-sided to me. But let's continue. While living here at GYSC, I've found myself under attack by young inmates who are immature and just plain ignorant towards a person like me. And by person like me, he obviously means a man who fetishizes women by moonlighting as them. Just saying. Minor said he'd been moved from Edna Mahan as a punishment for what had occurred over 2 months ago. He said on Saturday, "I was in medication line when an inmate cut in front of me and said, 'I'm not standing behind no fag.' The inmate then spit directly in my direction. He accused the DOC of causing him irreparable psychological damage by exposing him to those triggering situations. And this is what he had to say. 'I don't know what it's like to live as a man, and I refuse to ever revert back to such habits or behavior,' Minor wrote. That's a funny statement coming from someone who allegedly started their transition, and I use that word very loosely, only 2 years ago. The fact that this man lived life as a boy, went through puberty, and lived his life as a man, continues to live life as a man, but pretends he's not, tells me that not only is he a liar, he's a manipulator, and for some reason, he wants us all to be on board with his mental gymnastics. He knows absolutely well what life is like as a man. You can't claim to be a woman when you've never been one. There's more to being a woman than wearing bad makeup and pretending to be one. Let's continue. Minor also complains that the facility has no air conditioning or cable and does not allow video visits or LGBTQ groups. And this is what he had to say. Yet they said, I'm here for safety. No, please understand that I'm here for punishment. Just the sad part of this punishment may delete me, Minor complained. Mentally, I have not been myself, and I'm losing my essence. The Demi who wants to wear makeup and hang out with her friends is not allowed here. Well, newsflash. Your stay at any of these facilities is not a vacation. You are there because you deleted your foster father and carjacked a couple at gunpoint. You held a gun to a woman's face, and I'm not sure how they managed to wiggle their way out of that situation without being deleted, but they managed to get their infant child out of the car before you sped off with it. So when weak men like you sit there and try to garner up sympathy by throwing around your Skittles community card, don't expect the rest of us to feel sorry for you. I mean, the audacity of a murderer complaining about how badly they are being treated in prison of all places is quite laughable. Again, it's so typical of these black males who can't function in society to take what they perceive to be the easy way out by pretending to be women because they believe that by doing so, it affords them certain privileges that they would otherwise not have as men. The world has gone to shit. And quite frankly, I'm sick and tired of it. I'm tired of the brainwashing, and I'm tired of what's going on right now. This is getting ridiculous. The erosion of women's rights at the hands of weak men is quite sickening. How many times and by how many people has this been echoed and seen as a detriment towards women? Men identifying as women because they have a mental disorder does not make them women. I personally refuse to live in a world of pretense, being bullied by those in power to accommodate gender dysphoria in our personal lives in order to make room for people who should be getting help for their illness. At this point, I'll gladly take the labels. Call me a TERF and call me transphobic if you must. I don't care. Call me what you want, and I'll take the labels if it means preserving my own sanity. I don't have to live in anyone's make-believe world just because the alphabet mafia say so. I'm so over this foolishness. And at this point, we all know what a woman is. And personally, I refuse to partake in this cosplay bullshit. It's not healthy for normal people to accept alternative made-up facts in a world where facts exist and can be proven beyond reasonable doubt. The truth of the matter is, if you are born with XX chromosomes, you are female. If you are born with XY chromosomes, you are male. Females start off as girls and grow up to be women. Males start off as boys and grow up to be men. Where's the confusion? I can't believe that we're having this conversation right now. Whatever you do to yourself later in life is your business. The fact still remains there are only two sexes, male and female. And shout out to the intersex people, right? This has nothing to do with you all. You're beautifully made, complicated, and wonderful at the same time. My point here is, as far as sex goes, there is male and there's female, and the two are not interchangeable. Neither is manhood or womanhood. Knock it off. Here's another fact. You can meet your demise today and be gone for, 100 years. If someone dug you up a century from now, they would be able to tell whether you were male or female before you died? Would it matter how you mutilated yourself to present as something you're not? Perhaps. But first things first. At that point, they would be wanting to establish the facts, which are, were you male or female before investigating your lifestyle? Men and women are different, and that's okay. Matt Walsh, as most of you know, did a documentary called What is a Woman? The documentary highlighted everything wrong with society today. This notion that gender is on a spectrum is nonsense, okay? It's garbage, pure bollocks, and pun intended. And then you have people in positions of power. These are supposed to be professionals, right? These are supposed to be highly educated individuals saying problematic things about sex and gender which don't align with reality. These are the same people that the public relies upon, the same people that they put their trust into to do their job as medical and wellness providers. And even they had issues defining what a woman is. This is insane. We've come to a point now where it's easy to go along to get along. You can't tell the truth anymore because those who are playing pretend and living in a fantasy world are being placated to. Reason being, there are profits to be made here. It's not a coincidence that children are being encouraged by their deranged parents to go on puberty blockers, encouraging children to ruin their lives with the help of their mentally ill parents under the falsehood of puberty blockers being reversible is extremely irresponsible. Puberty blockers are not reversible. And if you don't believe me, look at Jazz Jennings from TLC and listen to anyone who has ever detransitioned. Heck, Scott Nugent was in the documentary too, warning people of the dangers of taking these things. Those responsible for pushing this agenda need to focus more on treating gender dysphoria and not encouraging people, children especially, to take medications that will render them useless later in life. Jazz Jennings and any other children who are being chemically castrated just because their crazy parents didn't get the child that they wanted will never be able to have children of their own. That choice has been taken away from them. Now let that sink in. What they are doing to these kids in the name of appeasing a small demographic of sick individuals is criminal. In the grand scheme of things, these corporations who are responsible for creating this avenue of deception are the ones to blame for this. If you really want to know the root cause of a lot of this madness, follow the money. What we are dealing with is surface level bullshit. This issue is much deeper than that, but I digress. Going back to Matt Walsh. Now, while I do appreciate what he did in that documentary, it's a shame that it took a man to bring this discussion to the table. Women have been talking about this, but guess what? It all fell on deaf ears. Surprise, surprise. You know, women have been talking about the transgender agenda being a problem for quite a while now. But as usual, women live under the illusion that they have a voice, that they have rights. Look around you. Now, this is not an attack on patriarchy. This is just an observation that I have made over the years. Women have fought for various rights over the years and received the perception of victory. Look around you. Whose rights are mostly impacted when it comes to the transgender debate? When have you ever seen trans men who are biological women throwing their weight around, demanding that they share men's bathrooms and other male spaces? I'll wait. Look at men's sports, men's prisons. Do you see groups of trans men pushing their way through those spaces and trying to redefine what a man is? If so, are they being taken seriously? Women have no power in any patriarchy. They are there as assistants, supporters, breeders. Shall we talk about Roe v. Wade? You had a man at the core of this, telling women what they can or cannot do with their bodies. A being who has never spent one day as a girl or a woman, telling you, basically, that your womanly body is government property. Let that sink in. At this point, we might as well just have chips and labels that say, property of. This conversation about what a woman is being had by majority men, not women. We don't need to question who we are. Only we know what it feels like and what it means to be a woman. It's more than makeup. It's more than high heels. And it's more than a feeling. Men are calling the shots here and trying to redefine what it means to be a woman. It took a man to do a documentary about women for people to actually pay attention. Let that sink in. This debate is about pervy men who refuse to partake in manhood. They fetishize women just so they could come into women's spaces to create a kerfuffle while eroding the meaning of womanhood. So, if womanhood has no definition, because according to them, it's on a spectrum and fluid, it's whatever anybody wants it to be, right? Then what does that tell you, ladies? That simply tells me that it doesn't really mean much to be a woman, does it? If any man can claim to be a woman at any given time, where and what is the value of womanhood? I'm so sick and tired of these people, you have no idea. And this notion that all they're trying to do is just live their lives and they're not hurting anyone, well, that's been debunked several times. Men like Demetrius Minor, who have fought tooth and nail to be in women's spaces, have proven every opposing woman's view of men, which is that most men are savages and will go to any length to get what they want by any means necessary. Things have gotten so bad that women have gone from being called emotional and hysterical to coddling emotional and extremely manipulative men. They have been studying you, ladies. Allowing men in women's spaces was always going to be a slippery slope. Now, women are being forced to bite their tongues for fear of offending a bunch of men. You can't make this shit up. Women are being forced to care about these men's feelings by treating them like delicate glass. We're just supposed to move over and make room for men who refuse to be men because women's spaces are the best places, truth be told, to act out their fetishes. And for those of you who insist on telling me that they're not hurting anyone, you're part of the problem. They are hurting the existence of true biological women. If laws have to be changed to accommodate them, all in the name of inclusion, and we know for a fact that men can't be women and women can't be men, that is a problem. Most women do not want biological men in their spaces. That's a fact. The reason you don't hear about it is because most people are trying to maintain their livelihood. And we all know what happens when you speak the truth. Anyone who goes against the cult by telling the truth and speaking facts is threatened. It's the same old misogyny that women have been accustomed to for centuries. Well, surprise, surprise. Looks like things never change after all. Everybody knows this. When most of you don't get what you want, you take it by force. I'm so sick of you people and your shenanigans, like you have no idea. I really am. And no, trans women aren't women. An adult human female is born with XX chromosomes, not XY. You can't just shapeshift into being a woman. That's not how it works. Bulldozing your way into our spaces and making us uncomfortable isn't going to solve your mental issues. It won't make you whole again. Women have the right to have their own spaces, spaces that they don't have to share with men, spaces free of any male person, especially those of you like Demetrius over here, manly looking and only pretending to be trans in order to victimize women. 2 babies in prison? Are you kidding me? If trans women are really women, how were these pregnancies even possible? Because last I checked, women do not have penises. These are the lies and the level of programming that make your community look extremely insane. And my message to women, but especially Black women who are always fighting for everybody else but themselves, is please refrain from fighting for or empathizing with groups of people who don't give a shit about you. The trans community has been very disrespectful towards Black women. Your support for them and the gay community is a problem for all of us. These people aren't your friends. They're not your sisters, and they don't have your best interest at heart. Matter of fact, trans and gay men participate in the degradation of Black women.
What's going on? Oh, you got your son in your hand, so that's alright. But let me just tell you something. No, only nothing. No, doing too much because I'm recording. You want to fake on social and stuff. Look at my nails, they so cute. Ain't they all? Don't pay me no mind, sister. I got the what?
I'm not talking to you.
Okay. You was down.
Okay, you can talk about me too.
Okay.
You talk.
I getted you, baby. That's what I did.
You felt like you did.
No, I didn't feel like I did.
But you didn't.
No, I didn't feel like I did. You see how
Yes,
you
not today.
she be faking. Like, you just be faking.
Bye.
By what? No, because I'm not going to play with no cunt like this. Like, who is you? You're late. Like, look at you. I'm what? No. If I was bored, I was going to smack you. No, bitch, don't ever play with me. The fuck?
I know you did not just hit her while her fucking baby in her head.
I didn't hit the baby.
Remember the bloated guy, the fat dude, that bloated Saucy Santana dude? He had a lot to say about Black women and called gay men the blueprint. Now make that make sense. You need to be very cognizant of who it is that you give support to. The so-called trans women are men. Gay men are men. I just don't understand the obsession that some of you black women have when it comes to these males. Some of you ladies would gladly trade in your alliance to black women in exchange for toxic relationships with a bunch of men who are jealous of you and your womanhood. They wish to be you. And if they could, they would replace you in a heartbeat.
This might be a hot take or whatever, but a lot of you cis women are going to be very upset when trans women are able to carry children.
These men disrespect you all day, every day, and even claim how they look better than you as a woman. Do we not see the issue here? Or is the conditioning too deeply embedded to the point where the love for the black man, regardless of what capacity he comes in, is more important than gatekeeping your own womanhood? They are not us. They will never be us. But they'll keep trying. Stop assimilating yourselves to disrespect. These males feel comfortable enough to disrespect the very essence of your womanhood because they can. They are men. You are women. They can't compete with you, even though they like to try. I have never, not once, ever in my life, been jealous of a man. I have never been jealous of a man or his penis, and neither should you. Stop giving these males a voice. Stop giving them a platform, a space in your personal lives, just so they could turn around and use it against you. They want what you have, not the other way around. We saw what they did to J.K. Rowling. They doxed the poor woman and left her open to all kinds of attacks. And her crime was telling the truth. The truth is always unpopular when dealing with groups of people who have hidden agendas. Their latest victim, as you saw, was Macy Gray, who spoke nothing but the truth. And even that was too much for them to handle. They called her transphobic. They called her a TERF. I mean, the name calling never ends with these people. The funny thing is, she never said anything disrespectful. Everything she said was factual, but they didn't like that. Matter of fact, she said, if you want me to call you a her, I will, because that's what you want. But that doesn't make you a woman just because I call you a her and just because you got surgery.
And I will say this, and everybody's going to hate me, but as a woman, just because you go change your parts doesn't make you a woman.
Right.
Sorry.
You feel that?
I know that for a fact.
Where's the lie? Where is the lie? Look, truth and facts have become very unpopular in this day and age where we're being forced to pretend that men can be women and vice versa. You're not a TERF when truth and facts are at the core of your argument. We all know what a woman is, and she is not born with a penis and testicles. I think Macy Gray regretted what she had said, not because she was wrong. It was because she genuinely didn't anticipate the backlash. She told the truth. They didn't like it. And in true misogyny, their first reaction was to bully and attack her. Here's the thing. We need to understand that these bullying tactics come from centuries of women being undermined. The reason that these males are focusing on controlling the language we use when it comes to the trans agenda and everything else attached to it is because women are undervalued and language stigmatizes us. When language changes to pedestalize one group of people over another, in this case, men versus women, it's only a matter of time before we are put in our place, so to speak. It's only a matter of time before they try to convince us that this is where we deserve to be. We can take to the streets, march, protest, and do what our civil liberties allow us to do. But that's as far as it goes. This gendered linguistic problem means that we're still being dismissed as hysterical lunatics, even for telling the truth. We are constantly being told that the trans community is merely trying to exist, and our refusal in not allowing them in our most intimate spaces is somehow going to cause them irreparable harm. Don't you find it odd that this group of people, who actually are stronger in most cases than women, want women to shield them from harm? Don't you find that bizarre? What they fail to tell you is that these adult human males are simply looking for an easy way to fulfill their clandestine fetishes by latching onto the very group of people that they deem weaker than them. When they exist, we perish. The manipulative ways in which they go about getting what they want is also what they use to attach guilt to your conscience, using buzzwords related to their deletion by others or self is another tactic used to grip at your heartstrings. After all, you wouldn't want to be the one responsible for someone offing them because you said no to allowing them to utilize a place of quote unquote refuge, would you? The changes in language, the manipulative ways in which they go about getting what they want are all steeped in misogyny, narcissism, and self-indulgence. There's only one group of people whose needs are met once everybody else caves into their demands. Sadly, it's not you, women. For as many years and as long as we have been fighting for our rights as women, I can't help but feel that the more things change, the more they stay the same. If we allow the trans community to take over and occupy every single space meant for girls and women, what will be left for us? Do we not have the right to reject the misrepresentation of womanhood? Especially when it's being forced down our throats? I also find it odd that these people don't seem to know what a woman is. But when reproductive rights are under threat, all of a sudden, we're very clear what a woman is, right? Very strange. I personally find it to be an extreme insult to my intelligence to have a biological male standing in front of me, telling me that they are a woman and how the world needs to respect them and their pronouns. Am I supposed to keep a straight face as I play along while staring at your Adam's apple and 5 o'clock shadow, wearing clown makeup, all the while claiming that there is no difference between you and a biological female? Is the word stupid written on my forehead? All I'm saying is, the world has gone to shit and we need to stop playing these games because these are dangerous games. We know what a woman is, and a woman is an adult human female. On that note, please leave your thoughts and comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And remember, ladies, #XX. #adult human female. We know what a woman is because we are female first. Thank you so much for watching. This is Divested Diamonds, and I'll see you next time. Bye, diamonds.